when Mazda first gave me a Test 3, I fell in love with how it looked. One of the, if not the prettiest cars in its segment right now. Now it's time for the 4-door version. A while ago we looked at the new generation Mazda 3, and it was very nice from pretty much any angle. And it was the 5-door version with a very nice rear. But if you like a slightly bigger rear, then maybe the Mazda 3 4-door version is for you. Most of the differences here are of course at the rear, especially these lights, which now look far more aggressive on the 4-door version. I like them, but my preference is definitely the 5-door version. Of course, this does maybe look a little more elegant. You still have the dual exhausts, and even though you have less of an entry point into the trunk, it is quite big. It goes down very deep. It doesn't matter if you choose the 4 or 5-door one, you'll get the same lovely aggressive front. This one does have some chrome too. I have to add, I love how both of the models have such a long bonnet. And even though I prefer the brake lights with a shorter model, this 3 is a little more elegant. It's also nice they decided to leave the chrome-tipped exhaust pipes exposed, rather than hiding them under the bumpers. The interior is identical between the 3 and 4-door models. Long, thin air vents on the dashboard and soft touch materials complete the elegance. The new Mazda 3 surprises both with its looks and with the equipment. I don't think many cars today can say they have so many things as standard as this vehicle. Actually, there's no point in me going on about it. When you're done watching the video, go and configure a Mazda 3 yourself. And here's the summer. Short sleeves, the AC is on, it's hot outside, and I have a Mazda 3. If you watched my Mazda 3, the hatchback test, then I cannot really tell you much more about it, because this has the same engine as that did, it has basically the same equipment, the only difference is really how the back looks. But for all of those of you that might not have watched my test, just a quick recap. The biggest thing with the new generation Mazda 3 is a couple of things. One, you feel like it's a much bigger car than it is, because it is wider. So over here you feel like you're in a saloon car. And secondly, everything you touch and how it drives and so on, it just feels like it's a car that's at least 50,000 euros plus, but it's not. It's actually such great value for money right now. I would say this is probably the best buy in this segment if you're going for a car like this, because I mean, you get so much as standard already. Of course, I know that that's not true in the US, for example, but over here, at least in our country, oh, my glasses, as standard, you get the projection head-up display, which is not projected on a piece of plastic, but onto the windscreen, as it should be. you get a big infotainment screen with navigation. You get this digital instrument cluster over here. You still get an analog tachometer, but it's beautiful, I would say. You also get radar cruise control. It's just, and it drives so smoothly and nicely, and everything you touch and all the buttons you press feels so high quality. It really does feel, I don't know, like it's a much, much more expensive car. We picked up this car, and I just want to talk about the engine. After we picked it up, we drove it quite aggressively on the highways or motorways and up some hills and down and so on and so forth. And unexpectedly, you know, it's a 2-liter atmospheric, naturally aspirated engine. So you do have to downshift quite a lot to get that power that you need for acceleration. And the fuel consumption did get up to about 8 liters per 100 kilometers, but that's because we just picked it up and reset everything and then immediately went, you know, full power on the motorway pretty much. But I know for a fact that this engine, which is pretty much the same as it was in the 5-door version, is capable of some really, really impressive numbers as far as fuel economy goes, because it shuts off 2 of the cylinders and so on and so forth. So I cannot quite remember what numbers I got it down to. I think it was under 5 liters per 100 kilometers. I'm not, you know, check that video, because I'm not exactly sure, but I know it was a very, very impressive number. And the thing is, after we started driving a bit more normally, even on the highway, it went down to 7.1 liters per 100 kilometers. Now it's on 7, and it's still going down. So, you know, this engine is surprisingly economical, or can be, if you drive it normally, even on the highway. And even better, and yes, I'm repeating everything now from the previous test, that HCCI engine, the Skyactiv X, is coming soon. And I'm really, really looking forward to testing that, because apparently it's a lot more economical still, and it'll have more power. And I've heard from Mazda that it will be cheaper than taking a diesel engine. Well, there's not much more I can really tell you. I mean, this is the 4-door version. It looks great. The rear looks different than the 5-door one. If you prefer this, great, and people will notice you. And of course, just like the 5-door version, it's just such a nice car.
The base 4-door Mazda 3 starts at 20,000 euros, even though you can hardly call Mazda 3s basic. For the fully equipped model with a diesel engine, automatic transmission, leather seats and extras, you will be paying 29,000 euros.